Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a character guide on Paine. Paine is a very interesting, intriguing character that seems complex at first, but she's actually quite simple. I've definitely done guides on characters that are more complex than this, so we'll talk about Paine and how she works, but she has some very unique mechanics in the way that she works. So in this guide, we're going to look at her artifacts for spheres. Force enhancements, nothing really to say there. She has typical force enhancements. So if you full investor, please go to 30. She's going to do more damage. I'm doing minimum investment, which is 10, just because that's only costing me character points. So you decide how far you want to go, but she's not a charger character, so you don't have to worry about that. So you just decide what you can afford to do and how often you're going to use her, right? So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at her artifacts first. I haven't built her artifacts yet, so I'll just tell you what you need to put on there. So you have to do attack 108, and then for the other one, you want the Warrior of Gull Wings boost, 2-star. That's her C50. So basically, that's going to give her 5% to all of her stats, and then she's going to get attack 108. Max Brave 330 can be a substitute if you need to, but that's the ideal is attack 108 and her C50. For her sphere, she's got 2 A slots and an E slot here. So she does do weakness damage. So you can do weakness damage spheres, and you want to increase attack, brave damage, or physical attack, melee attack, any of that stuff. So I just went with Rydia, weakness damage, we're getting brave damage and attack. I have lots of Gao spheres, and it's a pretty generic one. It's just if you have full HP, increases your brave damage dealt. That's a pretty good one. In the E slot, depending on how you're using Paine, if you're using her more as a buffer, you could opt to put a debuff sphere on. But if you're using her for her debuff roll or her middle roll, you really don't need to add more debuffs on. I would say either way, you're probably safer just doing an attack sphere. And her own sphere is one of the better E slots in the game, because basically as long as you're doing weakness damage, it's going to be party attack up, and it's going to do enemy attack down. It's a very good sphere. And her refined sphere is refinable right now. So I recommend you guys grind up probably 10 to 20 of these, because it's an E sphere you're going to want to use on a lot of characters. Because once again, if you're doing a character with an E slot and you don't know what debuff to put on, or you don't want a debuff, Paine is kind of going to be your go-to as long as they can do weakness damage. So on weakness damage characters with the E slot, this is going to be one of the best in slots you can use. So definitely grind up some Paine spheres. It is refinable right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into the showcase, and we're going to explain how she works. Now, what I'm going to do here is, I haven't even set up a proper team yet. Hold on. Let me think of who I even want on this team. I don't really need to worry about force charging, because I'm not going to do a force time here. So let me just grab Garnet quick. Garnet's going to make her look pretty good, so let's just grab that really quick. So anxious to get into the showcase, didn't even hop in. Garnet, and sure, let's just throw a beefy boy on here. Sure, let's do Gabranth, just so we can kind of show him off a little bit here. And then let's go ahead and hop in from there. I don't really care about my calls or anything right now. We just want to explain the kit so you guys know how she operates. So actually here, let me do this. Let me set no friend. Okay, let me explain how Paine works now. So basically, Paine's positioning is going to change how she operates. So basically, she has brave gains and she has debuff, or she has a buff stance and a debuff stance. Okay, we can put it that way. If she's in the middle slot, like I have placed here, she is going to basically do both. So she'll have a little bit of buffing, a little bit of debuffing, but it's not as effective. If you put her in the right slot, she's going to fully commit to debuffing. So she won't have the buffing stuff that she does, and she's going to focus on debuffs. If you put her in the left slot, she's going to fully commit to being a buff character. Now, the thing that's kind of cool about Paine is that if you do use her in her full buffing stance, she's actually one of the best brave gain auras in the game other than BT characters. So for a non-BT character, she's currently the best brave gain up character you can have. And then in the debuff side, she has the best HP damage up debuff in the game that is not a BT character. So she's what I like about Paine is because sometimes they come out with these characters say Zidane, who they're a jack of all trades, master of none, where they do a lot of things but they're not the best at it. Paine is literally can be whatever she wants. You can put her in the middle. She's a master of all trades, or a jack of all trades but master of none. But you could fully commit to one side, and then she kind of is the best at what she does, which is really, really awesome. So for this showcase, I'm just going to put her in the middle slot so she's doing everything. And then just know that if you fully commit to one side or the other, she's going to do the other thing better, but then not do the other thing. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's hop in here. So we're going to begin. And we're going to talk about kind of what she's got going on. So the first thing is she's going to have a Dress Sphere buff, and it's going to be active at turn start, quest start. And it is a stackable buff, and basically whenever she takes an action, it's going to go up. So you just want to make sure you get that Dress Sphere up. So if you use her 15, her 35, it's going to go up by 2 stacks. If you use the LD, it's going to go up by 3 stacks, right? So let's get Garnet going here. Okay. And then she has an overhead as well. Her overhead is called Full Throttle, and that's really like what drives her entire kit. And you'll notice on her overhead, see in the middle there where it has like a red 2 and a blue 3, what it's showing you is the debuff side is 2 and the buff side is 3. So these are stacking buffs. And what happens is they can only be stacked by your other party members. So team building is really important with Paine. Basically every time other party members inflict debuffs, then she can get stacks on the debuff side. If other party members inflict or do buffs, then it increases the buff side. So you see Garnet increase the buff side is up to 3 now, right? So let's go ahead. Let's do a call here. Let's put Raijin Call on. So that did a buff, and you see that the buff side went up to 6, right? So that's interesting there. And what it is that I believe it does count by like what slot the party member is in, right? So I think Gabranth is in the slot. I don't know for sure, but we'll look as we go. But basically, just know that if other party members are buffing or debuffing, you're like increasing those stacks. So we got her buff stacks up to 5 here. So let's get Garnet. Garnet will just attack. Oh, I guess I could have done like her burst attack and stuff, but that's fine. Okay. All right. So now we got Gabranth again. Gabranth. Sure. Let's just do the LD here. Oh, and I believe what it is you have to do a minimum of 2. Yep, so you see Gabranth did 2 debuffs there, and then the debuff slots went up, or stacks went up to 4. So you have to do a minimum of 2 buffs or debuffs with another character, and then it increases the stacks. So we got the debuff stack up to 4. Alright, so now with Paine, let's kind of talk about what she does. So her break attack is her 15. This is a good one you could open with. Basically, it's going to give her 2 stacks of her Dress Sphere, and then it's going to give the enemies a debuff called Status Break. Status Break is basically going to allow Paine to do weakness damage, so that's really, really good. Her 35, so let's just start with that. We'll do the break attack here. Okay, so you're going to see her Dress Sphere stacks went up, and now it's actually gold lettered, so that means that her Dress Sphere is maxed out, which is good. Her Dress Sphere basically just increases her stats. So just know as you stack it, the stats are going to get better, right? So Garnet, now let's actually get Garnet stuff going here. But Gabranth and Paine work really well together. So if you decide to full commit Paine to the debuff side, running that with Gabranth is pretty darn good, actually. So what's happening is Paine right now in this slot, she's getting debuffs. She's getting buffing, Brave Gains, or whatever. It's just not as potent as it would be if she did her full stacks, right? Okay. So I'm kind of like an all-or-nothing type player. So to me, when I'm actually using Paine in serious content, I'm probably going to full commit her to one side or the other and use her that way, right? But like I said, for this showcase, so now you can see Paine's got both of her stacks at 5. So you can see her debuff stacks and her buff stacks are at 5. On her overhead. So now she's fully maxed out. Her Dress Sphere is maxed out. We've got everything going there, right? So let's go with another Gabranth turn. Gabranth, sure, let's guilt these guys into being broken here. There we go. Nice. Alright, so Paine's up again. So next, let's go ahead and do the 35. This is called Black Sky. Literally, this is just a generic splash attack. So this is just like a good filler attack, and then it just increases her Dress Sphere buff, which we've already got maxed out. So really, that really didn't do much for us there. I was just kind of showing you the attack. Let's go ahead with Garnet. We'll just attack. And then we're going to have Paine up again. Now, her LD is actually quite good. Her LD is basically a full, it's a party-wide debuff cleanse. And then it also dispels all buffs from the enemies. So that is like ridiculously good because not a lot of characters do that. So we're not going to see it in effect here because we don't have any debuffs and the enemies don't have any buffs, but we'll use it. So like if we had any debuffs, she'd be wiping them clean, which is really good against the Odin boss because he puts a really nasty debuff on you that you'd want to cleanse. And then any buffs the enemies would have there, we would have just wiped those off. So that's very, very good with Paine right there that she's doing that. And then that would give her 3 stacks of her Dress Sphere, right? But her Dress Sphere is basically done right now. And that's basically it. Other than understanding like the left, right, middle thing of her, she's pretty much, at this point, you're pretty much just managing buffs and debuffs is all you're doing. Is you're just trying to upkeep her own buffs, and you're trying to make sure if you're playing a debuff role that the enemies are keeping their debuffs up that you want to have. And then Paine really is just supporting the party either through her Brave gains or through the debuffs that she's putting on the enemy. So she's actually quite simple. You don't really have to do any crazy setup with her. Literally, if you're using Paine and you're just pressing her buttons, like she's getting her Dress Sphere up, she's doing what she needs to do. The main thing with Paine is understanding her position in the party and the role you want to use her. That's really where the complexity ends, is just understanding where you want her, what type of team comp you're going to use. But once you're actually in a fight, she's actually very easy to use. You're just pressing buttons. Her LD, you basically want to do that to, if you need help upkeeping the Dress Sphere, but mainly you want to just save that to do your buff cleansing or your debuff cleansing or your buff cleansing on the enemies, right? So let's go ahead and do her EX. We haven't done this yet. So her EX is going to be a AoE Brave HP attack. It is going to recover a skill use of her skill 1, which is good, because I think her skill 1 is the better of her attacks. And then she gets a wing power buff. And basically this is going to be party auras. And then it's also going to do enemy debuffs like as an aura. Now, once again, if you have this going on one side or the other, she's going to either go towards the full debuff side or towards the aura side, depending. But since we have her in the middle, it's going to be doing a little bit of both, right? And we can look, I don't know, can we actually click on her overhead? Let me see here. Yeah, full throttle. So yeah, you can see all the stuff. I mean, it talks about how it all works right there in game, but pretty much what I've said is the gist of how it works, right? You're building buff or debuff stacks on it. So if you're committing her to the debuff side, you want to run her with other debuffers to really focus on that. I think her and Gabranth would be enough. And then actually this team comp right here is actually pretty solid. Like Gabranth, Paine, and Garnet. Like, because I'm thinking in that third slot, you'd want like a support heal character. Or you could do a force charger like Penelo would be really good. But this is actually like a really nice team comp. The only thing is you would want to run Paine in the right slot. So like where Garnet is right now, that's where you'd want Paine. That would be the debuff side. Actually, let's maybe I'll show that really quick here in the video, because we've pretty much shown the whole kit. So let me hop out. Let's just hop in really quick. We'll give you guys the full experience here. Let's put Paine in a different slot, and we'll see how she kind of changes as we go, right? So let's go back into here, and I'm going to swap her with Garnet. So I believe the top slot there, I believe is going to be the debuff slot. We'll see if I'm wrong or not. Now, those of you saw my summons that were quite quote-unquote painful. This was my first time having Kayn fully built, so this is my first time trying this out. So we'll see, but I think this should be the debuff side if we put her in the top slot. Yep, so Paine is now debuffing. So see on the right there, you can tell by your overhead, it is only showing the red section on it. So let's do maybe a couple of attacks with her, and we can just see like the debuff stuff kind of going here. So we'll just go ahead and do this. Okay. So Garnet did she did 2 debuffs, 1 to each enemy, and you can see the stack went up to 3 there from Garnet, right? So that was good. I wonder if we just refresh the same debuff, if that works. Yep, it does. So the stack's up to 4. We just refreshed the same debuff there. And then what we can do is, sure, let's just use our LD. Then we'll give Gabranth a turn to do his thing. So with Gabranth, I think we want to do Circle of Judgment right away. Really debuff them down. And then we'll just let the enemies take a turn and see like what kind of damage they're doing to us with all these debuffs on. Garnet can just do this here. Yeah, we'll just do an Aquamarine to go quick here. Okay. And then, sure, let's go ahead and do Break Attack. Alright, and then we'll just let the enemies take a turn. But this is the debuff setup. I actually like this. Yeah, you can see triple digits there, only doing like 400 a shot. Like these, and this is a Shinryu fight, right? Like that's really low damage. So like we're just between Gabranth and Paine, we are just crippling them, right? And you see the stacks go higher. When she was in the middle, the stacks only went to 5. You can see now on the debuff side, the stacks go up to 9. So it's really, really powerful debuffs. So just know that I probably won't double the other side, but put her in that bottom slot, which would be the left side if you want to use her on the Brave gain Brave Damage upside, like more the buffing side. And then those stacks will go up to 9 when you buff. So there you go, guys. That's Paine. I think she's a very cool, fun character. One of the more unique characters in the game. I really like her. So I'm definitely going to try and use her probably on one of these Dare to Defies. I'll probably break her out. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.